My name is Nathan Davis, and I am here to talk about today to establish that many of the laws in regard to automobiles in the state of California, I think, should not be laws and need to be changed immediately because they generally just take away from things that police and law enforcement officers could be doing, and the enforcement officers are focusing on things that really do not matter and are just wasting resources, time, money, and other city resources. The first thing on California automobiles that I think needs to be regarded and then abolished in regard to law is the exhaust noise levels on all vehicles, including cars, trucks, semi-trucks, and all such vehicles. I feel that the noise levels definitely can be an issue in neighborhoods. However, on the freeway, on highways, and on large city streets in industrial parts and other places other than a neighborhood where people are living with their families, I feel that the noise levels coming out of somebody's car do not generally matter. The reason that I feel this way is because there's nobody there to get their sleep affected or their work affected, and it's just generally just on an open road and no one's really being bothered by it. And I feel that police using their time to ticket these individuals and to focus on them and hear an exhaust pull them over and, waste an entire hour with giving them a ticket and such is a waste of resources because there's other crimes and other things that police could be focusing on to better develop our communities instead of wasting the time on that sort of thing. The second thing that I think is a big issue that does need to be abolished is the amount of focus in the DMV and California automobile sector of the law that focuses on the California emission levels. Emissions are definitely an issue as we do have a climate crisis on our hands, and they are focused on in many states, which is a good thing to an extent. However, in California differs from the majority of the rest of the states with the exception of a couple because they have extremely regulatory laws on the emissions because there are so many people. However, the extent that they bring the laws to makes it so that getting cars smogged becomes an entire hassle. Not only does this become a problem for car enthusiasts, it also becomes a problem for low-income individuals and those living in situations of poverty. Many inexpensive vehicles or older vehicles can get issues very easily that make it so that they won't pass a California smog check. If they won't pass a California smog check, they can't drive on the road and they don't get a smog sticker and they can't get registered, which means that the police will use their time and resources to pull these individuals over, ticket them, and then they have to go back to DMV, get their vehicle registered, and fix all the parts. Unfortunately, to get these junky vehicles that people may be driving because they aren't in situations that they can afford a nicer vehicle, to get those vehicles driving, they have to go get many things fixed, and oftentimes it can cost hundreds and hundreds, if not even thousands of dollars for people that can barely afford a vehicle in the first place to get themselves to work and drop their kids off to school. And I feel that maybe lowering the emissions standards can bring it so that people can afford to fix their cars to a certain standard that's correlational with the rest of the states. However, not having the excess regulatory limits such as California does on the cars. And it would make a much more healthy environment for people just trying to, live their life, bring their kids to school, and do everyday activities. In addition to this, focusing more on the car enthusiast side of things, there are a few parts of the engine and that are parts of a car in the engine bay that are focused on a lot in the DMV laws that really have no necessity to be. As I touched on already, the emission laws are definitely something that's pertinent and should be focused on to an extent for every state because of the growing population and the climate crisis that we have on our hands in this world. However, there's a couple things that, for instance, air intake and modification of the engine, as well as a couple others, that really don't have any business affecting emissions. However, they do focus on them, and they pretend that they affect emissions, which is definitely a waste of DMV time and resources, which then in turn also becomes, as I've touched on, a waste of police time and resources. The police officers tend to look for all of these things, and the general public truly needs to change their mind and vote in accordance with changing the police's outlook on these things and focus on these things, because it truly is a waste of time, resources, and money on behalf of the police, and therefore, as the police are enacted by society as a whole, it's a waste of society's income because their taxes go towards supporting police control and such. In addition to all of these things, all accumulated, I feel that we really need to reassess what police are spending their time doing, and we need to make sure that they are actually fighting crimes and doing all they can to make our world a better place and our state of California, instead of focusing on trivial topics that really aren't affecting much and aren't even affecting the climate crisis that we have on our hands because they are above the limit that is regulatory in all the other states. Thank you.